Listen, I have a question. Who put out that horrible, terrible, bad rumor that y'all broke up? Who did that?
Your sister.
Toni Braxton.
Right, I don't believe they got married. I think that's a lie. The reason why I think it's a lie because Stella not gonna do nothing without Slim being there or Slim knowing something about it.
Toni Braxton finally broke her silence about all those wild Birdman and Cash Money rumors that had everyone talking. Birdman's empire might look glossy from the outside, but Toni hinted that behind the glam and jets, the energy was dark, and it started to consume him. For years, people looked at Toni and Birdman like the oddest fairy tale. Beauty meets the boss. But that story was way more complicated than it seemed. Because, let's be real, what's a soulful icon like Toni doing tied up with a street mogul like Birdman? That love wasn't built on roses and promises. It was built on power. And power changes people fast. Toni didn't walk away just because things cooled off. She left after realizing how twisted things could get when money and control mix in dangerous ways. And that secret marriage? Oh, it wasn't just a rumor. Paperwork actually moved. But 2 weeks after saying I do, everything fell apart. Toni hit the internet calling it all cap, deleting every sign of the relationship like she was cutting off a curse. That wasn't fear, that was freedom. Now, whispers around Cash Money haven't stopped since. People still talk about the strange meetings, mysterious choices, and the silence surrounding Birdman's inner circle. Toni came face to face with the darker side of Birdman's world and instantly realized what kind of storm she was standing in. She'd already survived real-life battles like lupus, heart surgery, and health scares that nearly stopped her career. But this situation was a whole different kind of heavy. Toni didn't waste time. She pulled away from Birdman's circle, scrubbed her social media clean, and locked in on what mattered most: her music, her peace, and her health. But after she left, Birdman's glow started to fade fast. Cameras caught him nodding off mid-performance, looking lost and worn down. Fans said it was like he drained his own energy trying to keep up the image. Some even joked online, calling him the Black Joe Biden, saying he looked tired beyond repair. And ever since that Hot Boys reunion, strange clips have been flooding the internet. Birdman on stage, barely focused, eyes half closed, mumbling through lines while the crowd watched in disbelief. Some thought he was just exhausted. Others swore something deeper was going on. The videos blew up overnight. The once untouchable mogul looking like his spark had vanished. Soon after, BG hopped on camera laughing it off, saying Birdman wasn't out of it, just fumbling with the teleprompter. Man, that boy all business, he told the interviewer, brushing away every rumor like it was just internet noise. That's the story everyone close to Birdman keeps repeating. No breakdowns, no crisis, just exhaustion and bad camera angles. And maybe that's true, or maybe it's something deeper creeping up behind the scenes.
To me, when I got the Cash Money, it was the weirdest thing. I knew they had all these artists on the label.
Right.
So I get to the label, and then all of a sudden, they let all the artists go, all the other artists go.
Because it's hard to forget the image of Birdman standing under those hot stage lights, eyes low, voice fading, while the music rolled on without him. It hits different when you realize how many artists connected to that empire started shining bright, and then suddenly vanished from the spotlight without a trace. Careers went quiet, voices faded, and the same glow that once lifted them up seemed to drain them later. Let's be honest, Toni didn't just walk away from a man. She broke free from an entire system that was starting to crumble under its own weight. Birdman's name has been tied to whispers for years, but the truth isn't about candles or symbols. It's about power, loyalty, and the price that comes with it. Every new artist that stepped through Cash Money's doors had to show full loyalty before they could even rock that famous logo on their chain. And when you look back at it, some of it just felt off. The kiss on the lips, the daddy nickname, the matching tattoos, none of that was random. Those were signals, quiet pledges of loyalty that said, you're one of us now. You didn't just sign a deal, you signed into a code where the rules ran deeper than any contract. Birdman made loyalty look glamorous, almost like a show. The cars lined up, stacks of cash flashing on camera, the diamond chains flying like party favors, but every gift carried weight. Each one said, remember who gave this to you. It was his version of loyalty theater. Everyone played a part, and silence was part of the script. Those who refused to play along, they slowly disappeared from the spotlight. Names like UNLV and Kilo G stopped getting mentioned, like they'd been erased from the story. Some fans started whispering that speaking out against Cash Money came with consequences, so most kept quiet and stayed in line. It wasn't until Lil Wayne finally started pushing back that the cracks began to show. The family image started breaking down, revealing that what looked like magic was really about control. People online love to call it rituals, but it was much simpler. Birdman kept his empire tight through loyalty and fear. The real price wasn't blood. It was freedom, creativity, and your own identity. That's exactly the kind of world Toni walked into. One built on power, control, and silence. She saw firsthand how every room went quiet when Birdman stepped in, like people were afraid to breathe wrong around him. For Toni, that didn't feel like love, it felt like a warning. Around Birdman, respect looked more like worship, and Toni was not built for that life. She'd fought too many personal battles to hand over her peace again, so she broke the chain the only way possible, by walking away. And the moment she did, the entire vibe around Birdman began to crumble. Their short-lived marriage wasn't just a failed romance, it was the spark that exposed cracks in his whole image. Though their relationship went public back in 2016, they secretly tied the knot only last year. But the honeymoon didn't even make it through the week. Just 2 days later, Toni filed for divorce, calling it an irretrievably broken union. She might have withdrawn the paperwork in early 2025, but by mid-year, both of them wiped their social media clean, a silent but final goodbye. Then Birdman couldn't hold it in anymore. He jumped online, throwing shade, accusing Toni of being in it for the money, even claiming she pawned her engagement ring and was chasing a $160 million payout. When that story hit the gossip blogs and reaction streams, chaos broke out instantly. Birdman's reputation took a serious hit after the fallout. In R&B and pop circles, media outlets started labeling him as controlling and cold, but in the trap and southern rap scene, his never-back-down attitude only boosted his image as a boss who doesn't fold under pressure. Money-wise, he managed to dodge any real financial loss once the divorce filings were tossed out, but the public perception, that took a beating. Toni had sympathy on her side early on. Fans rallied behind her strength and resilience, but once that $160 million claim hit the headlines, and the talk about a missing $5 million ring resurfaced.
God, I don't pay the producers to the last minute. Let me stop. I love Birdman.
People started digging into her old bankruptcy history. Some sponsorships slowed down, but ironically, all the noise brought her classic hits right back into the spotlight. Streams jumped, playlists got updated, and her new documentary work about women reclaiming financial independence started gaining fresh traction like never before. Cash Money Records, though, wasn't untouched by the storm. The drama exposed cracks inside the label, especially between Birdman and legacy artists who'd been loyal for years. Producers tied to Lil Wayne's Young Money camp started keeping their distance, and mid-tier acts froze collabs with anyone under Birdman's wing once the feud hit social media. Still, Birdman, being Birdman, he flipped the chaos into promo for rich gang projects, turning gossip clicks into streaming numbers. But when the dust finally settled, even though he kept control of Cash Money, the respect and goodwill he once had in the culture were gone. The old Cash Money alliance, broken for good. And when you start digging into the money side of that empire, things get even messier. The financial rituals behind Cash Money Records have always been just as legendary and controversial as the music itself. Even Jadakiss once cracked a joke about it during his show, and the crowd knew exactly what he meant. Don't get it twisted. Birdman and his label helped shape the entire Southern hip-hop scene. They built an undeniable legacy of hits, fashion, and swagger that defined an era. But behind the flex, the luxury cars, the designer fits, and those massive mansion photo shoots was a setup that kept artists tied down while Birdman held all the strings. It wasn't just a business. It was a system built to keep loyalty tight and pockets controlled. Plenty of artists have said their big label advances never actually showed up, or were written as debts they could never fully pay off. And the paperwork, always a mystery. One artist's $10 million lawsuit even exposed how his first contract as a teenager had a lawyer representing both him and the label. A total conflict of interest that made sure Birdman's side stayed protected every time. Then came Lil Wayne's massive 2017 battle with Cash Money, the one that cracked everything open. Wayne accused the label and Universal of secretly shifting numbers to block his streaming and publishing profits, eventually forcing him to settle for way less than what he deserved. Just like Suge Knight ruled the West Coast with fear and flash, Birdman ran the East with control, disguised as generosity, handing out cars, chains, and checks that looked like rewards, but felt more like reminders of who really ran the show. That setup let Birdman keep his artists locked in long after the fame faded and the headlines died down. The contracts themselves were part of the ritual, not in a mystical way, but in how they chained loyalty through paperwork. Back in 1998, Cash Money's deal with Universal set the tone for everything that followed. An unheard of 80-20 profit split in favor of the label.
I never allowed none of the labels to own nothing. I own everything.
Universal.
No, Universal never owned nothing.
It became the playbook Birdman used on every artist who came through those doors. Owning your masters, practically impossible. Most performers never even saw their royalty statements. And when they asked, the answers got real quiet. Industry insiders still talk about how early negotiators like Wendy Day helped secure that massive Universal deal, only to never see a dime of what she was owed. And Birdman's cold-blooded quote became legendary in music circles. "Sue me when I have to pay you. You'll get paid." That line said it all. Over time, Universal stepped in deeper, covering some of Cash Money's debts, but taking more control of the distribution in return. Artist profits got flipped into corporate leverage, what insiders now call ghost royalties. Money meant for performers got rerouted higher up the chain, creating a hidden power system that kept Birdman untouchable. Loyalty came with flashy perks, Lamborghinis, jewelry, private jets, and VIP treatment, but anyone who stepped out of line faced a different reality: delayed checks, shelved albums, and quiet blacklisting. Meanwhile, the public kept seeing the highlight reels, helicopters, mansions, and that Stunner Island fantasy lifestyle. Birdman and Slim sat at the very top, ruling everything like kings of a golden dynasty. Younger names in the camp, like Jacques, showed near lifelong loyalty, pledging themselves to Cash Money even though they barely had any real control. But these weren't mystical pledges. They were business habits built over decades, where money became the ultimate weapon for keeping power in check. Behind all the diamonds and private jets, the truth was simple. The system always served the ones at the top. And that's when things started to shift. Some of the biggest names in the camp began moving quietly behind Birdman's back, subtle enough to keep it classy, but bold enough for anyone watching closely to notice. By 2025, the tension inside Cash Money was boiling. Some artists chose to flex publicly, others stayed silent, but make no mistake, everybody had a game plan. Lil Wayne, who'd been clashing with Birdman for years, finally made it crystal clear that he was done playing nice. During the Hot Boys reunion tour, fans caught a shocking moment. Wayne and the crew literally walked off stage mid-speech while Birdman was still hyping the crowd. The clip exploded online within hours. And just weeks before that, at Lil Louisiana Fest 2025, Wayne had already cut Birdman off mid-intro, stopping him before he could finish a dedication to his late mom, Ms. Gladys. Fans and insiders didn't need an explanation. They knew exactly what that moment meant. All that supposed forgiveness from their 2018 settlement, it had officially expired. Wayne was officially reclaiming his lane and making it clear he wasn't bowing to anyone anymore. Meanwhile, Juvenile handled things differently, keeping it grown and classy, but his frustration was showing through the cracks. During the Cash Money Millionaire's 30th anniversary tour, he publicly called out Birdman's booking team for underpaying and even sidelining fellow Hot Boy member Turk after money disagreements. Juvenile admitted the whole thing put him in a tough spot, caught between staying loyal to the brand that made him and standing up for his people who got shortchanged. But by summer, Juvie flipped the vibe completely, focusing on new music, fresh collabs, and letting his art do the talking instead of feeding the drama. You could feel it. He still had love for the legacy, but he wasn't walking blind anymore. Then came Drake, and that's where the chessboard got real. We all remember Kendrick calling him a snake in those bars, but truth be told, Drake's always been 3 moves ahead of everyone else. He didn't blast Birdman in public, but behind closed doors, he was stacking his power moves. His 2025 lawsuit against Universal, Birdman's main distribution plug, wasn't personal. It was strategic. Everyone in the business could see Drake was slowly stepping out of the Cash Money shadow, building his own independence while keeping just enough connection to benefit when needed. Nicki Minaj, on the other hand, played it silent but sharp. She didn't say much, but her distance spoke volumes. Meanwhile, Birdman bragged in interviews that Cash Money had made over $2 billion off the trio of Lil Wayne, Drake, and Nicki, insisting he paid them all handsomely. Nicki never confirmed or denied anything. Her recent drops ran through her own imprint setups, not Birdman's system. She kept the respect without catching any of the fallout. A smart move for sure. By the end of 2025, Birdman's big three weren't really tied to him anymore. Wayne's stage walk-offs, Juvenile's careful diplomacy, Drake's legal maneuvers, and Nicki's quiet independence painted the full picture. Loyalty had its limits, and every artist was taking back control of their own story. Behind the cameras, whispers spread fast. Talks of lawsuits, secret exits, and quiet new alliances. The storm around Cash Money wasn't done yet, and anyone paying attention could see the next move might flip Birdman's empire upside down. By late 2025, Cash Money Studios and tours had turned into ground zero for non-stop chaos and unpredictable energy. The label's private drama couldn't stay hidden anymore. It leaked into social media, viral clips, and live performances that fans replayed endlessly. And of course, the audience ate it up. Hip-hop fans live for that kind of tension, and Cash Money never failed to serve it hot. Inside the studio, control ruled everything. Deadlines, features, even which tracks made the final cut. Birdman still held the reins tight, managing every move like a general. But the cracks in the armor were already showing. If artists didn't stay in line, entire albums could vanish overnight. Lil Wayne and Birdman even clashed right in the studio. Full-on mic blow-ups caught in leaked clips showing them arguing over song choices, royalties, and creative direction. It got heated, but Wayne stood his ground every single time. Meanwhile, Drake and Nicki Minaj kept their distance, choosing to record their verses remotely instead of stepping into Birdman-controlled sessions, a smart way to dodge the chaos while keeping their music on schedule. The tour side of things was just as wild. The 2025 Cash Money Millionaires 30th Anniversary Tour turned into a full roller coaster. Shows canceled last minute, lineups shuffled without warning, and performances missing key names that fans had paid to see. At least one major concert got scrapped entirely due to scheduling conflicts, but everyone online suspected deeper drama behind the scenes. Internal tension, mismanagement, and too many egos clashing. Fans saw it as another sign of Birdman's heavy-handed control, that loyalty to him always came with strings attached. And when they did hit the stage, the tension was impossible to miss. During the Hot Boys segment, Lil Wayne straight up cut Birdman off mid-speech in front of thousands, refusing to let him finish, a clear public message that the brotherhood was broken. Every move, every gesture, every single post from the Cash Money camp became a signal, and people were watching closer than ever. Backstage, the tension was thick, and the fallout spread fast through industry circles and sponsors alike. Word was that major brands were starting to back away from Cash Money's live events, scared of the chaos, the last-minute changes, and the risk of public blow-ups that could tank their image overnight. But for the hardcore fans, that drama was part of the thrill. They were breaking down every clip, every onstage glance, and every Instagram caption like detectives hunting for clues. The music, the tours, the silence between posts, it all felt like part of one big spectacle. Cash Money had turned loyalty and power into a live show that mixed chaos with entertainment, and nobody could look away. So, what do you think? Is Birdman's empire on its last legs, or just reinventing itself again? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like, share, and subscribe, and make sure you see what's popping in our hood next.